everybody. This is Kat from Passion Project. And today I have Chris Krucker and Denise Trigatti of Manorun Organic Farm. It's a family-run farm set on the outskirts of Hamilton in Coketown, Ontario. Chris Krucker and Denise Trigatti, alongside their 4 children, Naomi, Nikita, Keisha, and Caleb, have been farming organically for 25 years, offering organic vegetables through community-supported agriculture. Chris and Denise, it's so great to have you here today. Thank you for being on the show.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. So I bet that just about everybody in Canada today wishes they had done what you did 25 years ago and set off into the country and started their own farm and became self-sustainable. And I was wondering, how did you get here? How did you land where you are?
Yes, we are very pleased to be here now more than ever. I think we both have families that have background in farming, so they were quite inspirational to us. And we knew we wanted to make a change and get back to the land a bit.
Mm. So had you kind of moved to the city and had other careers previous to this?
Yep. That's right. We lived downtown Hamilton, and we made a commitment that within a period of 6 or 12 months, we'd find a property in the country. And that was really because we grew up going to her uncle and my uncle, and they had hobby farms.
Cool. Awesome. And how did you get started from there? Like, how did you know what to do next?
Lots of hard lessons. We actually started with a very small group of friends growing our own vegetables for ourselves. And that kind of snowballed into the CSA.
Cool.
And so we really didn't know what we were doing.
No.
It's been what I call a 15 or 20-year internship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And did you bring people to the farm and ask them to show you around? Did you bring your uncles on, or did you take courses along the way?
All of the above?
Sure. A lot of reading, visiting other farms, mostly trial and error, starting with a very small garden. Our first CSA membership was 5 members. 2 of them were family, 3 were new people. And then we went to 15 in the next year, and then we went to 45, and then we worked our way all the way up to 200.
Wow. And now for people who are listening at home and might not be so familiar with CSA, that means that you have about 200 people that you supply food to on a regular basis, like a subscription?
Yeah, so people buy the whole season, which in our case is 24 weeks. We grow everything that we can for as long as we can. And then every week they get to order from our harvest of that week.
Amazing. And what does that range? You said vegetables earlier on. What does all of that include?
All vegetables you can possibly imagine, starting with a lot of greens in the spring to a lot of the root vegetables in the fall, but we grow it all.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. And they don't have to go do the groceries. That's a win. I think I have to get on board with that. That's awesome.
In the country too. A lot of the people that pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what drives you, and even what drove you to do this in the first place? What inspires you?
We might have slightly different things that drove us initially. My background is community organizing. I see this kind of farming as very community-based.
I've always loved animals, so the livestock is a big part of it for me.
And family.
Definitely family.
Working and living where you work.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now you guys have 4 children who are grown now, but how did you do it? How did you do parenting and farming at the same time?
I think they've always been a part of the farm. Since they were tiny, they've always done chores. They've always been able to keep their own animals, take care of their livestock. It's just been a big part of our family life as well.
That's amazing.
And forced labor as well. Is that fridge too loud? It just kicked on.
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's okay.
We did this where we expected the kids to work in the fields as they grew up, starting at around the age of 10. But they would only have to work 3 days a week for 1 hour a day.
Wow.
And then in year 2, they would go to 2 hours. And then year 3. And so they worked their way up to working 3 days a week in the summer, not in the winter, just when they were off school. So they developed the skill, the ability to do the work slowly over time. And we also paid them, really well for that time.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to send my kids over there. That's amazing. And what kind of impact do you think that had on your children?
I think, being around animals for sure teaches you a lot of responsibility. You don't sleep until noon. None of our kids ever did. There's things you have to do. You don't think about it. You just go out and you take care of the animals. You take care of what needs to get done. It's ingrained in all of them. They're all really good, strong, healthy workers.
That's amazing. And you now have 3 of your children, your 3 daughters are more involved in the farm, I think, than Caleb is, right?
Well, everybody works in some capacity on the farm.
Yeah.
2 of our daughters manage all of the vegetable production and the CSA and the books and all that kind of stuff relative to the vegetables. Then we have, and that's Keisha and Naomi. Then we have Nikita. She does our social media, photography, design. And then Caleb recently graduated from college. He studied diesel mechanics. So he's doing a lot of repairs for us.
Amazing. Was there an expectation that they would stay on the farm and continue the family tradition?
I would say not an expectation. They were all encouraged to go off and do their own things, and they did. They went to school, had other jobs, and they've all found their way back to the farm. So I think they just really value being on the farm as well, and have come back to it on their own. And our daughter Naomi actually owns a 5-acre farm not far from here. So she's working here and continuing that at her place as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
We made farming fun. I mean, definitely they had to work, but the livestock included horseback riding because they all had ponies as they grew up. So it's been an enjoyable experience, and we tried not to make it too onerous, the workload.
It sounds like a really ideal way to grow up and to raise a family. I have stars in my eyes now. What's the truth of it? Give me some of the juice stuff.
It is hard work.
Yeah.
Get a lot of time off. Although now with grown-up kids, we still get away and we have a bit of flexibility that way. You're out in the hottest weather, you're out in the coldest weather. So I think that's the harder part of it, but it is a good way of life.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think that the kids are back working on the farm, either full-time seasonally or in some capacity with their personal skill sets. I think it says that growing up here was a good experience. Mm-hmm. And I think as a family, we're saying, well, how do we continue that for the next generation? Because our kids are beginning to have their kids. Yeah. So how can they also participate in the farm as they grow up?
That's amazing. That is so cool. For people who might be considering a move like that or a transition like that, what advice do you have for them?
You need some money behind you.
That is a really great tip, though.
Well, if you're not inheriting the farm, then all the infrastructure has to be bought. And then even buying the farm likely will mean a significant mortgage. And so if you think you're going to make money in the first 1 to 5 years, that's going to pay for that stuff. That's just not realistic. You need to learn how to farm. So I would say go work on a farm for a season or 2 intern, and then figure out your economic strategy. Because for us, we knew nothing about farming other than the visits to our uncle's hobby farms. And so we had to develop all those skills. And there's so many, there's such a range of skills as small business owners. And it took us decades to get there.
Oh, I love all that. That is great insight and sharing. Thank you so much for that. And how would you say, I mean, the world has just changed so much and so quickly. How has what you do evolved from the time you began?
We're more diversified. So we do the CSA, but we also have other products. For example, we do pork, chicken, and beef. We're working on organic nuts. So we're, starting an orchard. And we've experimented with selling grains like wheat and corn for people to mill, or we've sold it milled in the past. So I think we're more diverse. We're trying to figure out different streams of income rather than relying on farmers markets or restaurant or CSA. So those are sort of business components that have developed over time. We used to just be CSA.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. And where do you see yourselves going from here? And I am hearing like growth and expansion and diversification. Do you have expanding for the generations as well? Do you have like anybody you model yourselves after, or something that you're aspiring to with the farm?
I think we're kind of letting our kids' interests flourish now. And it's been fun to see what direction they might take the farm. We also host a lot of social events on the farm. So farm feasts, and we've done a lot of solstice celebrations. So connecting with local artists and musicians. Our one daughter, Keisha, and her partner, Zach, are planning on starting a cidery. They've got some grant money behind them. We've planted over 100 apple trees. So there's lots of fun, exciting options that are sort of still growing.
Yeah.
We're not writing the next chapter. We wrote the first chapter and we're done. We still work on the farm, but it's really for them to figure out how the farm continues.
That's amazing. That is really, really cool. And it sounds like it's really leaning into the future, leaning into the next generation. And I love that you guys are willing to try new things and go in new directions. That's so amazing. I love it.
Just a little comment about farming. When we started to farm, we would run into multi-generational older farmers, and they would regularly say, I told my kids, don't farm. And our message has been very different. Now, these are farmers that would have been probably wholesaling, so they're sort of following whatever's happening with food prices internationally. So we've always been retail, and we've seen very consistent income. And so we've been confident enough to say, yeah, there's a space for you on the farm if that's what you want to do with your career.
I love that. I think it's really cool the distinction you're making between the two different kinds of farms, like retail versus wholesale. I'm just wondering, from a producer standpoint, I had the honor and the pleasure of interviewing Arlene Dickinson recently. She had some really cool insights about, what Canada can do from a producer standpoint, and what would you like to see more of in your industry, or what would you like to see in your industry to keep it alive and thriving?
So I think of a CSA as similar or like the type of tree that comes after a forest has been cut down. If you take a look at the food scene in Hamilton and in most municipalities, there would have been many, many medium-sized farms supplying the community. And that changed over 50, 60 years. And most of those farms either got very large or went out of business. And I would say there's probably a handful of what would be called truck farms or market garden farms still in the Hamilton area. And so we've seen a transition, which is now people are coming and starting small farms and figuring it out again, using old knowledge, but also using advanced knowledge, like social media, for example. So what I think the small scale, medium scale organic sector needs is to diversify. And that means not just be CSA, but have farms that are wholesaling, have farms that are doing lots of different markets, have farms that are selling to restaurant and storefront. And we're beginning to see that. Farms are specializing, not just all doing CSA.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess that's advice for everybody who's already in the business and trying, new ways to pivot or adjust to the market and what the possibilities are. Yeah,
it's been challenging because small scale farms don't get a significant amount of support from the government, right? That's not what the government has been interested in. And so it would be great to have OMAFRA step up a little bit and be a little bit more supportive to some of these small fledgling farms. If you want to maintain your agricultural sector, you've got to invest in these new farms. That would be my hope. We've survived, and the other farms have survived despite the types of protocols or mandates that are out there around agriculture.
That's awesome. I love that. What's the best advice you ever got about running a family farm or a farm in general?
I know something that impacted me greatly because we were raising the kids on the farm. We went to a CSA conference many years ago, and the kids were little. We had them in tow, and one of the first speakers that I saw was a woman, young family, and she got up in front of everyone and just started crying and said this was the hardest thing she's ever done. And I just turned to Chris and I said, I never, ever want to turn into that person. So yes, it's hard work, but I think prioritizing having fun and really enjoying being here and beautiful nature around us is a priority.
Yeah, for sure. And how do you create that?
Denise is very good at celebrating.
I like to celebrate. Yeah. I think the fact that we're not so isolated, we're close to Hamilton, we're close to a lot of things. We have a great network. We have supportive families and great community of friends. And we just keep meeting a lot of fantastic people that enjoy spending time up on the farm. So
we also shut down at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, balance right. Working.
There are some chores in the evening, but we start the workday at 8 o'clock and it goes to 5, and we have a 1-hour lunch. So we're very careful. We don't work weekends other than the morning chore and the evening chore. So we're careful not to become too tired. Mm-hmm. So many farms that we knew, those families didn't survive the farming experience. They overdid it.
Yeah. Another thing that we've always prioritized when we first started, and it was, go all day long, we would just throw together a quick lunch. And then we realized we were growing this incredible food. So we prioritize our lunches. Our lunches are always a nice big sit down meal that somebody has spent at least an hour preparing. We all take turns. And, if you've asked interns from past years, that's one of the highlights is we have a really beautiful hot lunch every day.
The advice I remember, which is sort of my theme, which is not just the environmental sustainability, but the financial sustainability, is show your kids the money. So we've always tried to make sure that a component to the farm is about their personal wealth as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so, it's not as though we make an incredible amount of money, but we always made sure that the kids were paid well.
Yeah. Oh, this is amazing. I'm loving this interview. What's the best part of having a family farm?
I'd say it's a hub. It really is a hub. People come all times of year. People are dropping in. yeah, the girls still have horses they ride here, so they're coming out regularly. We have a pond that is now frozen and people skate. It's a really great hub.
If you're tired of working in your job and dealing with office politics and your boss, well, this is not that. This is where you get to explore the things that you want to do within some confines. But I had a couple of really good jobs. You had a great job, but it wasn't good enough. And we were lucky to get out of that when we were, late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys do a really great job of balancing. What is the hardest or most challenging part of your job?
I'd say sometimes the extreme weather. We just are coming out of another crazy patch of cold, and chores take longer, and we're lugging hoses back and forth and things aren't starting. And, the same in the opposite, the extreme of summer when it's so hot and, there's not a lot you can do to keep cool. And I'd say those extremes are the most challenging. I almost fantasize for 2 seconds about an office job, but no, not really.
Yeah. What gets you through those moments?
Sorry, what was that?
What gets you through those moments?
I also love being outside and being in nature, and I'm happy that every day I get my vitamin D. So I guess, and I'm grateful to work with animals. I love all the animals.
Thank you so much, Chris and Denise. It was really fun chatting with you. I want to move in. You can adopt me anytime.
You could come and intern. We have a.
You know what? I may well do that.
Okay.
In the summer. I'm not a winter person, but in the summer. I would love that. Thank you guys so much. It was really great chatting with you. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the show. I'm looking forward to, we'll be having an article in Hero Smith magazine coming up. We'll get some more juicy nuggets from you guys, and also the chance to chat with your daughter. So thank you so much. Good luck with everything. I'm excited for you, and I'm looking forward to visiting. Thank you.
A pleasure. Thanks, Kat.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. This is Kat from Passion Project signing off. Until next time. Bye.